There is something unusual about the minds that repeatedly enter industries they were never formally trained to dominate. Most people accept boundaries early. Engineers stay inside engineering. Business founders stay inside business. Scientists remain inside narrow disciplines. But some thinkers move differently. They cross industries almost as if disciplines themselves are artificial walls. Cars, rockets, energy systems, artificial intelligence, satellite networks, neural interfaces. Few modern figures represent this pattern more dramatically than Elon Musk. To many people, Musk appears unpredictable, sometimes admired, sometimes criticized, often misunderstood. But beneath the public image lies a very consistent pattern, an unusually aggressive reading habit during his formative years. Long before he became associated with Tesla, Inc., SpaceX, or Neuralink, Musk spent enormous time reading, not casually, but obsessively. He has often explained that as a child he read for hours every day, moving across science fiction, engineering ideas, philosophy, physics, and biographies. Those books did not simply entertain him. They built mental architecture. They taught scale. They expanded what problems felt possible. And they gave him a habit that many extraordinary thinkers share: the ability to imagine systems larger than his current reality. Tonight, we explore two books that helped shape the intellectual atmosphere around Elon Musk's thinking. Because before rockets were launched, before electric vehicles became global, there were pages. And inside those pages were ideas that quietly trained a mind to think beyond ordinary limits. Welcome to Trillion Books, where we explore the hidden libraries behind the world's greatest thinkers. Many people expect the first major influence behind Elon Musk to be a business manual. But one of the books Musk repeatedly mentioned is fiction, and not ordinary fiction. It is one of the strangest intellectual books ever written. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. At first glance, the book appears humorous, absurd, even chaotic. A story about space, improbable events, strange civilizations, and cosmic irony. But beneath its humor lies something Musk found deeply important: the power of asking larger questions. Musk once explained that the book taught him something many people never realize early enough. Before solving problems, you must first understand what the right question is. That idea became central to how he thinks. Many people chase answers too quickly, but great thinkers often become powerful because they ask unusual questions, questions others ignore, questions large enough to disturb ordinary assumptions. For Musk, this book normalized scale. It normalized cosmic thinking. It removed psychological limits. And once psychological limits disappear, industries begin to look smaller. That is why later in life he could think about Mars not as fantasy, but as engineering sequence. Not because rockets were simple, but because mentally, scale had already expanded years earlier. The deeper lesson of this book is not humor, it is cognitive permission. Permission to think larger than your environment. Permission to imagine systems beyond ordinary conversation. And many people underestimate how powerful that permission becomes when absorbed early. The second major influence often connected to Musk's intellectual formation is biography, specifically Benjamin Franklin, An American Life by Walter Isaacson. This is important because Franklin represented something Musk deeply respects: multi-domain invention. Franklin was not confined to one identity. He moved between science, writing, diplomacy, invention, systems thinking, and public architecture. For Musk, this matters deeply, because one of the strongest patterns in Musk's own career is refusal to remain inside one professional category. Cars alone were not enough. Energy alone was not enough. Space alone was not enough. The Franklin model shows how one mind can influence many systems if curiosity remains broad enough. But there is another reason this book matters. Franklin was highly practical. He did not worship ideas detached from reality. He repeatedly converted thought into utility. And that same pattern appears strongly in Musk. The goal is rarely theory alone. It is application. Build it, launch it, test it, fail publicly if necessary, then improve. This engineering temperament mirrors Franklin more than many people realize. Both thinkers accepted imperfect first attempts as part of system evolution, and that mindset becomes extremely powerful in modern innovation. Because most people fear visible imperfection, but builders understand that systems improve through iteration. When these two books are placed together, a very revealing pattern appears. One expands imagination, one anchors execution, one teaches scale, one teaches applied invention. Together they create a rare intellectual balance, vision without losing practical movement. This explains much of Musk's unusual behavior, why he speaks about impossible timelines, why he tolerates public criticism, why he moves aggressively across industries, because mentally, he often behaves like someone whose intellectual map was shaped early by very large conceptual territory. And this matters for anyone studying great thinkers, because books do not simply provide information. They shape internal permission. They influence what feels thinkable. And once a person's mental ceiling changes, life choices often follow. One detail many people miss. Musk's reading habit was strongest before public success, before global attention, before billionaire identity, before massive companies. This pattern repeats across many extraordinary thinkers. Books matter most before the world notices the thinker, because that is where internal architecture is built. And once internal architecture exists, later decisions often become expressions of earlier ideas. This is why studying books behind thinkers is valuable, not because books create identical people, but because books reveal early intellectual climate. They show what kind of ideas were allowed to grow inside a mind before visible outcomes appeared. People often study Elon Musk by watching headlines, but headlines rarely explain mind formation. The deeper explanation usually lives earlier, in private reading, in long curiosity, in strange books others ignored. Because before rockets rise, thought rises first. Before industries shift, imagination shifts first. And often, before public disruption, there is private reading no one notices. That is why hidden libraries matter. Because behind many extraordinary minds, there are always pages that quietly arrived before power.